Association January meetings. As you guys know, it is a tradition around here. We kick off our January meeting with the mayor. So Mayor Parker will be here shortly. She is on a tight schedule today. She had to manipulate her schedule a little bit to get with us today, and she has to leave here promptly to get to the airport. And speaking of, we're getting her up here as soon as possible. But right now, we're going to start. We're going to open our meeting with your immediate past president, Jason Ray, and then do our prayer and our pledge. Dan.
Please bow your head with me. Creator God, as we begin this new year, we're grateful for the opportunity to come together in this association meeting and for the presence of our guests. We pray for your wisdom and guidance as we work to serve our community and make decisions that will impact the lives of those around us. Grant us all a spirit of cooperation and collaboration as we seek to find solutions and make progress. We give thanks for those in leadership positions and ask you grant them wisdom and discernment. For those in the communities they serve, guide us to give us grace and provide support. Bless this food and the nourishment of our bodies. We give thanks to those who prepared it and those who served it. We ask for your protection and provision for East Fort Worth and the city as a whole. Amen. Amen. Please join me in the pledge.
Lauren, maybe I'll let you continue to lunch, but I wanted to introduce myself. I'm Alan Leibrecht. I'm a board member with Texas Wesleyan University. How are you? My first meeting was in December, and now I have the honor and pleasure to welcome our guests to the meeting today. I know we have quite a number of guests here, so what I'd like to do is I'll mention your name, and if you could stand up and say hello to everybody, that would be wonderful. So Martha Collins, I believe, is that right? Did I get that right? Welcome. I believe, and I'm going to guess this is maybe riding dog, or did I get that right? And then Michelle Lester. Michelle, welcome. And then Paul Bexel. Did I say that right? Oh, okay. And I'm going to, this is another one, maybe Dustin Gardner. Did I do that right? And then Luis, Luzano. Luis. Peter Owen. And that's our guest list for today. Welcome to the meeting, and appreciate you joining us today. Thank you. Thank you, Alan. I also just wanted to take a quick moment to acknowledge some of our representatives that are in here. I know I saw Alan Blaylock over here. Thank you. Dina Vivian from District 5 is right over here. I see Chris Nettles sitting in the corner with you. Chris is always there. Sure, if I missed anybody, did I miss anybody else? All right, we're good. So Gary, come to you or up, sir. We introduce our guest speaker. We're ready to introduce our guest speaker. Yeah.
Those who are curious about the redness and swelling in my face, I had a medical treatment yesterday. My dermatologist calls it a chemical peel. I call it a napalm facial. She said I should be back in my handsome self, and we put enough about me. Mattie Parker was elected in June 2020 as the 45th mayor of Fort Worth. She was, and still is, the youngest mayor ever of a major U.S. city. Leading one of the fastest growing large cities in the nation, she has set her focus on key issues that move the city forward, including economic development growth, innovative transportation and mobility solutions, quality education opportunities for every student. We'll talk more about that in just a second, and building safer, more prosperous communities. She is a licensed attorney with more than 17 years of experience in national, state, and local public affairs, including her service as chief of staff of the mayor and Fort City Council, where she helped shape major policy decisions on a variety of complex issues. She was the founding CEO of Fort Worth Cradle to Career and the Parent to and Green Partnership, two very significant education initiatives. In addition to all that, she and her husband David are parents to 3 children. As you can imagine, all of this keeps her very busy, which reminds me that she has to leave here at 5 or maybe before 12:30. She has to plane to an important meeting. I'll stop talking now so she can start. Please welcome Mayor Mattie Parker.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
I think we have a fourth, do we? Almost, not quite, we're one off, right? So to my council colleagues, I haven't seen you, I hadn't seen Gina until today. Happy New Year. To Chris and I managed to stay out of jail yesterday. So congratulations to us. I think that was a good way to start the new year. Chris and I had a running joke that we both do not look good on orange, and so we wanted to behave ourselves. But I'm incredibly excited to be with you in this new year in 2023. And what an exciting week and week upcoming it will be as we host the national championship in Los Angeles. Go Horned Frogs, right? Big deal for it's not just a huge opportunity, of course, for TCU and their Cinderella story, but this is PR that a city cannot buy, right? It's truly priceless. And to have our city on such a national stage in a prominent place with a team that is, in my opinion, especially their leaders and Coach Dykes and Max Dugan, are such great examples what it looks like to be awesome sportsmen and represent the city so well. And so I am fortunate to get to go out to Los Angeles and represent the city of Fort Worth. To meet the mayor of Athens, mayor of Santa Monica, who's hosting us for a big pep rally. I'll try to do my best to represent you well. I was trying to figure out how to get whiskey on the plane. I think we've decided it's easier just to ship it to them afterwards and to not cause a problem getting it back home. There's so many things I could talk about with you, and I've got a long list thanks to staff of things. I think first I'll just be candid. I've been your mayor for about a year and a half. And I would describe it as incredibly challenging and wonderful, sometimes in the exact same minute. No 2 days are the same, as you can imagine. And our city is growing and changing so rapidly, in my opinion, in progressing the right direction. But with no shortage of responsibility, both for myself and for my fellow council people that have a host of problems we're dealing with on any given day. And I appreciate our council colleagues continually representing their districts. And we have a good open-ended communication. It's amazing to me. I'll have just yesterday, Alex in my office on an issue for D4. Chris had dropped in. The differences in community, but all positive, are there. And to try to keep up with that some days, I'd be lying if I said it. There's a little bit of a hamster on a wheel. I'll do my best to try to keep in tune with what's happening across this entire city. I think I'll start with kind of work backwards through the year. It's well known that this council has been able to work together through some really tough contentious issues, and sometimes easier than others. Chris and I both could agree some nights on council are really hard, both as human beings, as council people, as leaders of a growing city. But we still have a commitment to one another and to this community to dust ourselves off and put aside our differences and keep moving forward. And I'm proud of that, probably more so than ever as you watch what's happening in the U.S. House right now, in the speaker debacle. As a joke, I don't know if any of you watch Beat. Anybody watch Beat before on HBO? If you don't, really gotta watch it. And Julia Louis-Dreyfus, who played this character in the show today on Instagram, posted a hilarious post. And it's a picture, imagine it, it's Kevin McCarthy and like 10 Republicans standing around arguing with each other. And her post says, if we don't win an Emmy for this episode of Beat, I'm leaving television. The joke being, our US government has become a joke. And I think all of us on council can agree, despite the days that are contentious and hard and leave us in literal tears, we are proud of the work we're doing on council. So if I forget to do anything today, the most important thing I can do is please show appreciation for your council people. And importantly, there are several of you in the room, our city staff members. If you're a city staff member, just wave or stand up if you don't mind. I see our police officers serving food. Yeah. Back here are Tara, Katie, Beth, and Maria. This was real women that run City Hall, by the way. One of you have done, as you well know. I always joke, if you pissed off that LS, you're getting nothing done. Can I get an amen? That's true. Okay, the priorities. So many of you may have gotten to attend our State of the City that the chamber hosts this last year. As a reminder, the Fort Chamber has always hosted the State of the City. I inherited that format. Candidly, I'm not sure I love that because it's sort of pay ticket. Not everybody gets to come and you're only in a room full of business people. That's okay, but I'm playing with the what if, doing it differently in the future to make sure that the entire community feels like they're a part of the state of their city. Because it's a pricey event and it does feel like you're excluded, right? And importantly, we have other chambers, right, Stacey, in the city of Fort Worth that do really good work too. So we're just know that we're playing with that idea. So, but I brought with me today a few thoughts that I used during that State of the City. The first of which, we have transformative projects in the city of Fort Worth happening, importantly, all across the city, and also, by the way, in East Fort Worth. And I'll get to those in a minute. When I first took office, I had a very interesting meeting with John Goff. It wasn't just interesting because John is an incredibly successful business person and because he does work all across the world and is truly a self-made billionaire, mostly in real estate. His perspective on our city is unique because he's reinvesting in his hometown in a big project himself in the Crescent. And importantly, at the time, he was leading the charge at Texas A&M University before we'd announced our North Campus, an over $1 billion investment in downtown Fort Worth that will be transformative. And he said, I asked him for his advice as a new, give me one piece of advice you would give to me as I look at opportunities and what we need to focus on and what we need to turn away from. And his recommendation, he would look for things that change the architecture of Fort Worth. And I don't mean the look of the building. I mean the things that have lasting opportunity and change for all people in our city. And obviously, I do believe that Texas A&M's presence in Fort Worth is an example of a transformative project that changes the architecture of Fort Worth. But there are other things, both physical developments and also programs that we're running at the city of Fort Worth. Many of you may know about Techstar's relationship with the city. So one little known fact is that in the city of Fort Worth, we've really struggled to keep top entrepreneurial talent in our community because they really go to other cities where we incubate and have more resources. That's not to say that the BAC Business Assistance Center is not fantastic, that Tech Fort Worth doesn't do great work, Cotton Angels, but it's usually siloed. You need a entrepreneurial ecosystem that really works for all types of businesses, small and large, big ideas, tech ideas, it doesn't matter. We didn't have that in the city of Fort Worth. So through a really innovative partnership with the UNT Health Science Center, Goff Capital, the city of Fort Worth, and Tarrant County, we brought Techstars, a global accelerator, right here to Fort Worth. And as we speak, we have 10 startup physical health companies incubating in our city to think about the future of human mobility all across the world. That would not have happened a year and a half ago. And our hope is that these companies not only get started here, but they stay here and they create headquarters here and more momentum happens. And that's the type of momentum you really need in a city like Fort Worth. To click down the list, if you start with hotels, the Sandman will be opening in 2024 in downtown Fort Worth, a 5-star hotel. The Crescent Hotel will be opening a 5-star hotel in the cultural district, as well as the Bowie House Hotel on Camp Bowie. Those things matter, by the way, for visitor and tourism purposes, and another opportunity to bring tourists to our area. When you also think about transformative projects, you have to talk about Panther Island. Many of you, Chris has written a few himself in Fort Worth Report, trying to keep up with what is Panther Island, what is Central City, what is the future of this project for the city of Fort Worth. But not long after we took office, we finally saw over $400 million in federal funds to help us move this project forward, and more to come in the future. I don't know about you, but it would be hard to do my job every day if I've dwelled in the past and where we've been and where the frustrations were and who was on first, who was on second, who's at fault for things. But this project is happening. It is moving forward. It is a significant flood control piece of this project in the focus right now, and economic development potential. Here's the new piece, and I don't have all the details ready to announce, but we've been in the process in a joint RFP with the Water District, with Tarrant County, with the City of Fort Worth. By the way, everybody getting along and sitting around the same table to do a joint RFP for a master developer, a world-class developer to help us re-envision what Panther Island and Central City should be. Why does that matter? Because up until now, it's really just been government dreaming about what we needed. And we needed the private sector partner at the table to say, this is what the future of your city potential looks like, especially in 2023, because this project will double the size of downtown Fort Worth. There's not another city in the country that can claim that their city has that much potential positive growth in the right direction. And I'm also really pleased to tell you that the focus still remains on the integrity of the neighborhoods surrounding that area and the real potential there into the future. So incredibly exciting. We're also on the tail end of incredible success in film and television. Taylor Sheridan has come home to Fort Worth and wants to make sure his 101 studios are headquartered in your city. That means building a world-class television studio in Fort Worth, continuing to film things like 1883. The Bass Reeves project, the spinoff of 1883, will actually be soon filming here. If you're interested in a casting opportunity, I saw the Star Telegram posted an article today. I didn't want out of this job, so I may try that. We'll see. Maybe they got a spot for me. I don't even have to speak. I'm good. I'll dress up in costume. Lots of exciting things happen. Those are transformative opportunities. We also are incredibly excited that Miss Opal Lee, who is really the jewel of Fort Worth, has decided she wants the Juneteenth National Juneteenth Museum to be headquartered right here in Fort Worth. And if you haven't heard the vision of Juneteenth or seen the beautiful images and the focus of what this will do, I encourage you to dive deeper, understand their goals. It's a big, ambitious goal to fundraise nationally for this project. We're trying to create anchor philanthropy here in the city right now. Jared Howard is really responsible for leading that effort alongside the Lee family. But I, for one, am incredibly excited about that potential for our community. And by the way, the city of Fort Worth has stepped up in a huge way with $15 million of seed money to make that possible. And we're last dollars in. We do that for a reason. We think it helps philanthropy actually get out their checkbooks and write a check. But we believe this is a transformational project, not just for Fort Worth, but for Southeast Fort Worth, and making sure this museum is placed in a historic African-American part of our community. And the community is really rallying around this effort as well. So I shift from city projects. I've spent quite a bit of time in my career, both voluntarily and professionally in education. And I know I talked about this last year when I came to visit with you, but we truly are at a pivotal point for our students in this country. We were pre-COVID, and it really has to do with how rapidly our employer environment has changed, the world has changed, the way students learn. And unfortunately, during COVID, the focus really was on fighting. The focus was on, unfortunately, our school board rooms became very contentious places. City council became a really sleepy place. Fourth ISD boardroom did not. I'm sure if Toby Jackson were here, she would agree with me. I mention that because I hope that we can put our swords down in this new year and really focus on what is best for students and acknowledge that right now in Fort Worth, we are not where we need to be for our students. Our students are not performing at grade level, which, by the way, should be the metric we all care about. Most students in Fort Worth, the average For our attainment right now at grade level is only 34% of your kids are at grade level across the city of Fort Worth. And if you break it down importantly by council district, if you break it down by demographic, it gets worse. In Fort Worth right now, only 1 out of 10 African-American boys read at grade level. That's K through 12. And the statistics unfortunately do not change as you continue to see these students go through the ranks. So the question really has been put upon not just myself, my fellow council members, what can the city be doing differently around these issues? So without making this an education lecture, I do focus on the positive. The first thing that I'm incredibly excited about is we launched a Mayor's Council on Education and Workforce that I hope will make so much sense that your next mayor, no matter who it is, will adopt this and continue this work forward. I asked Tom Harris, who is the retired CEO of Alliance Airport, who's done a tremendous amount in both education and philanthropy to help lead this effort. And we just hired Dr. Terry Mossage back to Fort Worth. She was a longtime principal at Paschal High School to help us lead this effort into the future and partner with our school districts. Really, our focus is on the high school timeframe, getting them out of high school, on to post-secondary success. We've embedded this with the work and the nonprofit I was lucky to get to found at Terrence Group Partnership. So these things continue. And I mention it to this group because probably within the next month or two, I'll be able to communicate with your membership on tangible ways we're asking community to step up for our students. The most important thing will be mentors to match with our high school students across all of our high schools through Tarrant through and through, with ISD, Crowley ISD, Everman, Castleberry, I could go on. These students deserve to have business leaders like yourselves, mentoring them on the future opportunities to understand what is possible for them. And by the way, it does not mean four-year university for our kids. Right? We have to get past that emphasis on college only. Because as many of you represent in this room, there are a variety of very flexible paths that do not require a four-year traditional, but they do require some type of post-secondary credential. Over 70% of our jobs in North Texas today do require a post-secondary credential. And we want these students to be successful and make a living wage right here in our community, in our city. If I kind of pivot back away from education, think about our budget. Each council member worked very hard on their individual priorities. I encourage you to know each of them and what they were and how they advocated differently. We had a lot of fun discussion, didn't we, Alan, on the tax rate? At the end of the day, we lowered the tax rate by 2 cents. And I gig at Alan, but he's an excellent advocate for taxpayers, as we all are, to understand in this environment, even by the city lowering your tax rate by 2 pennies, you probably still saw a slight increase, depending on appraisals. The market's a little weird right now, in your tax bill. The average Fort Worthian for the year saw an increase between $75 and $100 total on their tax bill. No one likes their taxes to go up. In fact, my husband starts getting grumpy about December 1st. He doesn't get over it until April 1st after he gets the property. But candidly, the job of the city of Fort Worth is to make sure you feel a good return on investment for what you're writing your check for. Your tax bill is only about 27% city of Fort Worth. The rest are all those other entities. Think about what we do with that 27%. The police officers in the back of this room are paid with those dollars. Your firefighters, your streetlights, your new roads, your new libraries, you get the point. And so it's up to us to make sure we're showing that return on investment, which is probably why, if any of you experienced a debacle with your trash days getting messed up, there's no faster way to make people mad than your trash that get picked up. And so that's probably not the best example. We've got that straightened out now. You get the point. Is making sure we're demonstrating a great ROI for a city. You know, any of us here on council could go through a variety of really important things going on in the city. I think at a high level, I'll just mention this. This city budget was unique and different because of a huge emphasis on 2 things. We want to be a clean and a safe city, and you can't do one without the other. You've known our commitment to public safety, making sure we have an adequate number of officers on the streets of Fort Worth, adding 50 sworn officers plus civilian staff into Fort Worth PD's budget. Everything that Chief Notes asked for, this council delivered to him, and then the resources needed as well. But it's not just Fort Worth police officers. To have a safe city, you have to have a city that people have pride in. It's beautiful, has a high quality of life. That's investments in parks and libraries. Our new street sweepers are wildly popular. Michael Crane keeps wanting to get on one.
Yeah.
I'd encourage you did, and that's very unfortunate. But we went from, by the way, 2 street sweepers to 12, to make sure your lane miles are beautiful. And all of you probably heard people from out of town, when they come here, say, your city is so clean, your downtown's beautiful, it feels safe. You cannot do that without existing places. It takes a continual commitment, and usually your budget tells a story about where your commitments are. Probably doesn't, our family budgets also doesn't it? So let's continue to hold those priorities dear. And this council's done an excellent job making sure management continues that work. And I'm excited to see the fruits of those labors, especially in the next few months, as you continue to see the success of those investments in the city. A few different projects in East Fort Worth, all of you are aware of. Of course, first is going to be our Rosedale Renaissance projects at Evans and Rosedale that Chris is leading the effort on with Go Global. More to come here, but this is a game changer for District 8. And you have world-class developers focused in East Fort Worth, which is incredibly exciting. And the city's commitment has continued for years, but we finally feel like we've got it right. So I won't steal Chris's thunder. He'll get to announce some really exciting things in coming months. And I hope that this organization in particular is excited about the plans for this project. I think there's an upcoming public meeting on the 19th around 5:30. So if you want more information, we can make sure you get that. I have it right. Okay. The other big announcement, of course, we have a partnership with Main Street America, and we selected one of 2 organizations. One is Polytechnic, in partnership with Texas Wesleyan, another transformative opportunity to continue the Rosedale Renaissance, the continual progress in Texas Wesleyan area and this part of the city. So more to come there, and Southeast Fort Worth deserves huge credit for that application. Awesome job, Stacey, you and your entire board in partnership with Texas Wesleyan. The city is incredibly excited about both your project and, of course, the Fort Worth Hispanic Chamber of Commerce and the North Side effort that they're doing there as well. And then East Lancaster, the saga continues. We're going to make it happen. From downtown Fort Worth all the way to downtown Arlington, we will transform Lancaster. And I've had a conversation just recently with Michael Morris at North Central Texas Council of Governments to say, what if we don't get the federal grant money that we've applied for? We're going to pivot and continue to make it a priority here locally. And it wouldn't be possible without our partnership with Trinity Metro. They have been incredible partners with the city. Actually, one of the first meetings Chris and I had, and Gina on council, was East Lancaster, bringing them in a room and saying, hey, we got to get along. And then that worked so well. I was voluntold Chris and Crane to be on the Trinity Metro board to give them another meeting per month. Joe decided has worked. The city and Trinity Metro are working together to really transform what public transportation looks like into the future. If you haven't met the new CEO of Trinity Metro, it's not that many more, 6 months, is that right? Rich Andreski is a breath of fresh air. He's such an innovative leader. He's excited about the future of public transportation. And he understands that in Texas and in Fort Worth, where we like our trucks and our cars, we're a sprawled city, public transportation and the future of it here will look different than it does in other cities across this country. So I'm incredibly excited about that potential as well. I already talked about Juneteenth Museum. In closing, I'll just say thank you. Thank you for your encouragement. Many of you in this room have sent notes to me personally, sometimes just to say thanks or say keep going. Sometimes to say, man, you got that wrong. Let me tell you why. And here's my perspective on it. But just know, I think the way I try to make decisions is make a decision and move on. Because if you dwell too much in the past, it can be difficult. This has been a really interesting year and a half. As you can imagine, all of us on council, most of us have young children. And it's a balancing act. And I have told this, especially among my girlfriends, my commitment to myself and to my husband and our family is, if I can't show up for them and make them my top priority, this job will never be successful. And truthfully, this job is not set up for a working mom at all. And so thank you for your patience. It is not uncommon for me to zip in and zip out of something. I'm really good at coming at the beginning of a happy hour, and you will not see me for dinner. Because someone has to cook dinner at my house. That's how that goes. And I'm vocal with you because I want politics to look different. I want our families to be included in the decisions we're making. I think that when we don't, that's what you get what's happening in Washington right now. You get this complete fishbowl of misinformation and really a lack of connection to community that is so vitally important to keep Fort Worth, to help our progress continue. And importantly, the relationships that we have that are personal on council are really what bind us, right? It's not the decision we make on a Tuesday. And it certainly isn't with our community members, like each of you that are working incredibly hard in your community in different ways and are just smarter than me and did run office. And so keep doing that work also. I'm happy to take questions. I'll close my comments and thank you again for letting me come today. Yes.
I was a news reporter for many years, and I covered a lot of trials.
Yeah.
But I was never allowed inside a closed hearing for a contempt court hearing. What's that on?
Well, first of all, if I go back a little bit, and I'm being candid now that I can, you know, we've been under the gag order for a year and a half. Is that right? Yeah, under a previous judge, Judge Hagerman, and then Judge Gallagher. When I drafted I wouldn't do anything differently, by the way. And I know as a lawyer, I was taking a risk. And my statement was approved by our legal counsel, knowing the risk was there. But in respect for Judge Gallagher, who, by the way, was an excellent presiding judge in a very difficult circumstance, I respect the fact that he was concerned for myself or for Chris or anybody else really with a public person that's going to be speaking, especially after the verdict and for sentencing. Because, by the way, remember, sentencing took a while. It was not easy for the jury to get to that decision. And the last thing he wanted as a judge is to have a hung jury on the sentencing phase, which many of you may not know this, then you would have had to reseat the jury again, whole new jury to sentence Mr. Dean. Judge Gallagher was very gracious in chambers. He was not at all, anything other than kind. And we just agreed to disagree, on why. And again, I wouldn't do anything different. For me to have remained silent as the mayor of your city in such a tragic time, to have said nothing would have been disingenuous to you as residents, but incredibly wrong for Tatiana's legacy. And I just couldn't do that. So I took the risk, and I don't look good in orange, as I said earlier, and I didn't go to jail. My dad is a retired criminal defense attorney. He's retired to Colorado, and his law license has been active, by the way, which is an important part of the story. He called me before he came from Colorado Christmas. Do I need to bring a suit? And I'm like, no. By the way, Dad, you can't practice law in the state of Texas, but you can bring it if you want to for moral support.
Mattie, I know that the city has its economic development plan, focus on creating economic activity in East Florida specifically. And the chamber of it has the same specific focus. I'm wondering, can you create somebody and designate or nominate somebody to ask the question every time there's an economic opportunity? Hey, would this work in East Florida?
Yeah. Luckily for you, you've got two of them right here that do it really loudly every single meeting, and Alan too, for that matter. I mean, really, you've got good council people, and there's a few folks.
About it, get it to the staff.
Yeah.
On the economic development.
You can do it. Martha's done an amazing job for the city. She is that person. Truthfully. Main Street America, the program that's here is because of her and your leadership. So congratulations. Like his team, they're quiet behind the scenes, working incredibly hard, and they continually ask that question almost first. And when there's a project that's potentially new or an expansion, should this be in East Fort Worth? And then, of course, the work that Stacy and his organization are doing is incredibly vital as well. So, good question.
Hey,
Yes.
you got mentioned, right?
The what?
The train
A text rail expansion?
at the airport.
Yeah. Yeah.
There-
Yeah. So Gina mentions text rail. It's a huge deal. If you haven't been to Trinity Lakes development, by the way, it's phenomenal. And that rail station, the Trinity Metro is building, and can do transformative for East Fort Worth. But because Gina mentioned the train text rail already gets us to downtown, we have approval in the process of finishing environmental and design for the rest of text rail into the medical district, where a bulk of our jobs are in Fort Worth. And then that continues to see the vision of texture and beyond that into the future. So huge potential for economic development. And I didn't spend a lot of time on transit, but transit is TDO or transit, TOD, transit-oriented development is really just common sense. You know, how do you expand transit to really further economic development opportunities? And that's what the city of Fort Worth, under the leadership of Trinity Metro, is trying to do right now. And our economic development staff back to that is continuing to see opportunities to do the same thing. Yeah. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
It's so long since I've heard anything about it, but I'm not even sure about the name of it anymore. This park, Gateway Park, what's the status of that?
I actually couldn't tell you directly, honestly. There's been a lot. I'm meeting with park staff next week to go over a master plan for Gateway Park. Alan and Nate have more information than I do, or Gina. Right. Yeah. Not yours. Not hers. It's what? Yeah, you first. I hesitate because the last time I met with them, there was an evolution happening, and I think they're kind of at that place right now, especially with the work we're doing with open space development, parkland, trying to determine what we're going to do with the flood control area of that piece of that of Panther Island. And it's also being reconsidered as part of this development process we're doing with Panther Island, this new master developer. So I think you'll see more final plans and move forward on Gateway Park in the next few months to finally get us over the edge. It's an expensive venture, as you can imagine. But I will say your neighbors who meet you here today have been incredibly protective of the beauty and integrity of Gateway Park and making sure commercial encroachment doesn't have long-term negative consequences for the future potential of Gateway Park. So
What's the status of recruitment for new police officers, especially for those in these neighborhoods? Those that want change in their, some of the residents in the police.
So I was actually just with Chief Notes yesterday and heard kind of an update from him on training and recruitment. We, unlike a lot of other large cities in this country, are not suffering the same issue of recruitment. We have healthy applications every single time we open them for our police department. The key thing to your point is we want folks from our neighborhoods interested in this. And Julie Swearingen, Deputy Chief, has really led this effort. She's done a tremendous job to successfully make sure we're painting a picture of what the future of the police department looks like. This is a department that's really focused on serving the community first and foremost. And I'm incredibly proud of those efforts. And I think you're starting to see that reflected in every single graduating class of Fort Worth PD. And it's something importantly that the council members are asking. We're getting in the weeds on questions. And I've even heard questions from council member on what neighborhood that person was from. They're from Fort Worth. And I think that is important as we think about the future of policing, not just in Fort Worth, but in this country. We in Fort Worth think we're on a track to be an example. And that's not without a lot of mistakes and a lot of difficult times. And we just talked about on murder, the same thing is true there. And so how do we move forward as a community? But it all does start with recruitment of our police officers. And then importantly, taking care of our officers that we do have now and retaining the top talent. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Thank you so much for mentioning the Trinity Lakes project and the Trinity Rail Express. Ken Newell was supposed to be here today and got tied up at the Red River. So I will make sure that he knows.
He know on a helicopter with Gina recently. Bill took us up to see the whole project. It's quite incredible. That and all the tech stop construction between the two, it's an incredible sight to see. I didn't throw up on the pilot, so I thought I was with that was the that I didn't throw up. That's good.
We know that with all the things that change in your schedule, it's easier to cancel. And we appreciate the fact.
Sure,
that you
of course.
present this.
Of course. Thank you all very much for having me. Yeah.
Guess up next is, as always, door prizes, right?
Absolutely.
And, so I think we do have a few door prizes to give away. Don does those honors, so I'll have Don come up. And I know Mayor Parker has to duck out here, so I'm not going to ask her to help us with door prizes.
And for all of those pictures today, individuals that have been here and know about our door prizes, We are missing one door prize today. Our marble and granite cutting board that Bob Galvin has graced us with virtually every meeting for decades, is not here. I have to say that Bob has just released from the hospital today. He had a heart attack and had to have 2 stents put in. And so, yes, so Bob is doing well. But like I said, he just got home today, so we don't have a marble or granite cutting board today. So, sorry, but we do have some wonderful door prizes.
I'll help.
All right.
I'll be the official wrap.
You're not as pretty as Mattie.
Yeah.
We
I
have,
don't look good in Northeast.
we have 2 $25 gift cards for one of our all-time best sponsors, the Mexican Inn on Lancaster. The first gift card, last 3 numbers are 616. 616. All right, Ken Fisher.
He's the one over down. There you go, Ken. Oh, is that right? That's hilarious.
The second gift card for Mexican Inn. 654. 654. Once, twice? No.
Well, I have a 6.
654. All right.
Perfect.
Charles is the president of our local Pinnacle Bank branch. He bought lunch for everybody today. He's also the bank of choice for East Florida Business Association. Although our treasurer is a wonderful representative of Southside Bank. Proximity matters.
Who'd that go? Did he get?
Did you get your?
Oh. You gave him the ticket.
I gave him this ticket back.
And then this one, this one, this, yeah.
Oh. All right. One of our other all-time platinum sponsors, Cars for Kids. They're just wonderful with this. Thank you guys so much. This is a $50 gift card, is that correct? $50 Visa gift card and Cars for Kids. 608. 608. I like that one. Mr. Waynes. Congratulations. John McKenzie, Bridgewood Church of Christ, a wonderful gift card. This is one I want.
Yeah.
$25 Whataburger gift card. That'll just about buy a meal for me. This one. 640. That's it. Congratulations. Thank you. Compliments of Angela Baker, Southside Bank, a bottle of vintage reserve Cabernet. 613. All right. These guys do a wonderful job. Absolutely. Okay, another bottle of wine, Bill Swinson's private collection. He orders these by the case, and he gives one away every month. Thank you, Bill. This is a wonderful wine, I know from firsthand experience. 638.
I won. You got it.
All right, guys. Congratulations.
I know it. Oh, my God, the second time in 25 years.
Let us know if you need some help with that. Tony Browning, with School Supplies, has donated a door prize. This is like 4 pounds of peanut M&Ms. My doctor killed me about one of these. 666. I'm scared.
I am not.
All right, we get the peanut M&Ms. Now we have the first class mixed nut collection. One of the donated. We have 3 bags of mixed nuts. From Wanda. Where they from? These are from Great Nuts over in Arlington. Yeah. They're on division. The first one, 630. All right.
Sandy got it, so you got it. Sandy.
These are great. I've eaten way too many of them. The second one. 636.
Oh,
David, no. 636.
All right.
Thank you.
I think I have the best duty of anybody here. You know, I love kids. 648. 648. Once, twice.
New number.
All right. 631. 631. All right. Compliments of Ken Fisher, who already has won a gift card today. So congratulations, Ken. He always brings wonderful door prize. 2 Coleman tumblers. Okay. So you have a match set. 1 for hot, 1 for cold. 624. Please keep Bob Gallup in your thoughts and prayers, and
Yes, that's all right, I get to close us out. So I would say I was gonna call you want to come up and talk about it? Yes, yeah, I would, because I don't want to mess them up. We have a really good lineup of guests coming up for the next couple of months. Gary Cumbie has been taking on the challenge of reaching out to different potential speakers and scheduling them. So I want to give him the opportunity to let you know what's coming up. I want to just take 1 second here. I was going to ask Mayor Parker this, and I didn't get an opportunity to, but no worries. I was going to ask her what advice she might give to any potential council candidates that might be in the room. And as you may have caught the Star Telegram this morning, you saw that Leonard Firestone is not going to run for reelection. So there's a lot of potential, seats out there. So, just pay attention to that. We are going to invite those people to, our organization for a possible forum in April. Gary will talk to you about the rest of the speakers.
First, I'm going to share the scripture for the day, and you can go home and look this up. It's in Exodus 8:4. And the frogs shall jump up on both thee and thy people. Yeah. I hope you enjoyed Mayor Mattie today. That's the first of a bunch of great speakers we're going to have. In February, our speaker will be the CEO of the soon-to-be-built National Medal of Honor Museum in Arlington. We'll also have a decorated former Navy SEAL and a former NASA astronaut who flew several missions and had 1 or 2 spacewalks. And actually, all 3 of those are the same person. Retired Navy Captain Chris Cassidy. Imagine the stories that he can tell. I've heard some of them, and you really won't want to miss it. The next one in March, we'll have our new county judge, Tim O'Hare, who was just inaugurated earlier this week. He'll tell us about what he's experienced early on and where he sees Tarrant County government going. In April, we'll hear from those folks who filed to run for the city council seats and school board seats representing our East Fort Worth footprint. And some of those will feature incumbents, some of whom are in the room today and already know about this, but we'll invite everybody that files for both city council seats and school board seats in our territory. And we don't know how many folks that'll wind up being, but we're inviting them all. Won't be a debate, but we'll give everybody an opportunity to present their credentials and their views. Probably have an opportunity for a meet and greet after that meeting. Bill Swenson, who is heading up our new political action committee, is going to moderate that. Our May speaker will be Fred Slabaugh, president of Texas Wesleyan. He'll likely talk about success in student recruitment, some special programs the school offers, maybe a little about sports, and especially the planned stadium and the continuing renaissance, which we heard the mayor talk about, the long road stadium. That's the lineup so far. If there's a program or an idea that you have, please share it with me or with any of the other members of the board of directors. We'll be happy to look into it. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Gary. Yeah, we've got a fantastic group of speakers coming up, and we have several more months to fill. So, like Gary said, if you have any ideas, don't hesitate to reach out to one of your board members. I want to again thank Charles Ivory and Pinnacle Bank for sponsoring today's lunch. Big crowd, you're gonna get a big check, I think. I don't know. So appreciate that. Thank you very much for that. And I thank you all for being here, and we'll see you next month. Thank you all.